So consider this a companion video to a video I did a long time ago outlining my racing station and some of the things I've learned since then, which you may find useful. You should see a card popping up now for that original video, but in case you don't want to watch it for whatever reason, just a real quick overview. I'm running a Logitech steering wheel. I do have the companion shifter and obviously the pedals. What I did was I ran everything except for the pedal cable. I left that loose because people want to move the pedal obviously in different places. I ran that down and over to my Xbox One X. I was trying to keep the cables as tight as I could because I got an old dog and I didn't want her to trip and hurt herself. So it's just one single bundle there. It seems to work pretty well. You could probably get cuter with cable management. Obviously, if I had a cable management system behind the wall, it'd probably look a little neater, but it doesn't bother me. But a couple of things I wanted to point out that I've learned, and that's really the whole sole reason of doing this video, is a couple things. One, most of the time your steering wheel will work just perfectly fine. You obviously have your D-pad here and all your face buttons here. Every so often though, particularly with voice chat would be a great reason, you may need a second controller. So I have one here, and what I did was I just took and I got a nice long USB cable, braided up nice and neat, and I just tuck it right here behind the wheel. I can't see it when I'm playing, and it comes in handy when I need it, because you never know if you want to have chat on, if you're playing with your buddies, or if you're trying to do something and for whatever reason the wheel is malfunctioning, it's good to have a standard controller nearby. Second thing I learned, I am using just a standard TV. This is an HDR. If you had an HDR TV though, you probably would find that it's even brighter than what I have. And on this particular desk that I have, when I sit down, you could see if I move this mat out of the way, how bright this gets. Now I typically play in the dark. I have blackout curtains over here. I don't like light. My eyes messed up. I'm not gonna go into the long explanation, but needless to say, I'm part vampire now, I feel like. It gets really bright off this reflection. So I got a big giant gaming mat and I put it right here, and it blocks probably 85 to 90% of the glare off of the TV on the table here. Makes a really, really big difference, guys. So if you're using a glossy table, I'm using just this cheap IKEA table. Remember, the reason that I got this one was because of the lip. I wanted to get a table that had a long enough lip so I can clip things on. A lot of these cheaper tables you get at like Rooms to Go or whatever, they don't have a nice long lip like this, and the legs come right up next to the edge. You're not gonna be able to get those clips under there nice and neat. So keep that in mind. That's why I got this table. But anyways, what I wanted to say was, this table is very glossy, so keep that in mind. Two other late breaking additions I will say that I've come up with. One is I got everything on a giant mat, a giant rug here. Everything, the seat that you sit in, the pedals, the table, and I left myself a little bit of slack, although you probably can't tell, for this cable here if I need to pull everything out. The reason I did this, it's incredibly easy to adjust this. All I gotta do is grab this rug and give it a really good yank, and I'm sitting farther away from the TV, or if I don't like it, I just push the rug in and it slides everything in. You may not have this problem. You may not mind to keep lifting up this table, but I can tell you it took forever to square up this table in a way that I liked, where the steering wheel was a nice distance. I felt like it was center to the television screen, and it was a good distance. It was square to the corner of the room. It looked nice, all that stuff. Having a rug to pull everything out back and forth was a huge, huge, huge deal, and I cannot stress enough how important that was. And the last thing was a fan. I know that sounds probably really stupid to think that like, oh, a fan, what a great idea. You are gonna sweat your ass off on this thing. This is a lot, especially if you're like me and you're trying to get into a racing game and you wanna use an actual shifter with a clutch pedal. I'm not talking about the speed shifters on the back. I'm talking about the standard shifter with a clutch. You're gonna be wiggling and jiggling a lot, and you're gonna start getting sweaty. And I cannot tell you how important it is to have a cool room. And this upstairs room that I'm in now has a separate air conditioner, which usually is sitting about 73 degrees. But still, because the room doesn't have constant airflow, before I got that fan, made it just so hot, and I hated that. Speaking of heat, one of the other things I did, if you watched my original video, you remember I had my Xbox sitting right up here where the Chief was. I went ahead and moved that. I moved it downstairs for a couple reasons. One, the heat on it was pretty bad, and it puts off a pretty significant amount of heat. Now, thankfully, the Xbox, I think, is built incredibly well. It doesn't make a lot of noise. You don't hear the fan ramping up or revving down like you do on a PlayStation console, for example. But what you do feel is that heat. And even sitting up here, it puts out a nice cone of heat all the way around, particularly in the back. But it puts out some good heat, and you're going to feel it. So the farther the console away is, the better. Additionally, the console has a tendency when it's really spinning up to, it seems like it wants to vibrate. I know the wheel obviously has a lot of force feedback to it, so this table does sometimes get a little jittery. I mean, obviously it's a square table. I mean, I'm wiggling on it as hard as I can, and it's not moving. But my point is that when you have something sitting on there vibrating, it does tend to make the table vibrate, and you can feel it in the wheel. It translates up through the wheel. Very similar to why you'd have a microphone shock mount or external microphone or some kind of lighting that isn't connected to what you're doing. So I would recommend putting your console on the floor away. I guess you could put it down here if you wanted to, like on the floor directly next to you. I just did this mostly, and again, it's for keeping an eye on the dog, mostly. I just wanted to push everything far away and kind of put it out of the way. So other than this little cord, there's not much there. And really, you could get a lot cuter on the cable management than I have. But, you know, we don't have, it's just me and my wife. We don't have any children. And for the most part, we're not worried about people tripping over this. We're smart enough to know where to walk and not walk, obviously. But just keep that in mind. So these things do have a lot of cables. You know, there is a lot to them. And other than this pedal cable, which I did leave loose, as I mentioned, people do like to adjust how close and far the pedals are. Other than that, everything is completely tie wrapped down the best it can be, connected to the table, either 3M tape, whatever. And then I even have some Velcro down at the bottom for a nice tight connection. So just wanted to give a quick update on the racing station. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about it. It's definitely one of my most popular videos. So I appreciate the support and the love that you guys give me on YouTube. If you have any questions about my particular setup or anything that I didn't go over in either this video or the one that I just talked about, the original setup, please let me know. I will do my best to try to answer each and every one of you. Hope you guys take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.